Good morning. And welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist Church of Ventura. I am the Reverend Dana Worsnop, delighted to be the minister of this congregation, and I greet the good people here in the sanctuary and all of you on Zoom and YouTube. It is good to be with you all again in all the ways we have learned that we can be together. I welcome you all here in the sanctuary, those near and far, whether you have been in this community for 30 years or 3, 10 months or 10 minutes. Welcome, welcome all of you dear ones. We begin, or we always take a moment in our services somewhere to remember that the beautiful lands that we live upon are yet the unceded lands of Native peoples, the Chumash peoples of Ventura, Santa Barbara, and San Luis Obispo counties. And I have just a couple of announcements for you. One is that the annual church auction has entered its collection phase. It's looking for items to be auctioned off. And an email will soon be winging its way to you if we have your email address. But this week, with ideas for what you might give to the church, or and it will also include the online submission form. And one thing that they're asking us to provide is, do you have an unused gift card somewhere? I actually have one that's still in my office. I forgot to bring my prop, but I got a Starbucks card for somebody sometime. I'm not even sure how much it is for at this point, but I never gave it. I never sent it. I have no idea who, I don't even remember who it was going to. Well, it's going to end up in the auction. I will find out how much it's worth before I give it away. But anyways, if you've got them lining up in a drawer somewhere, it's a place you got a gift card for, and you don't really shop at that place, bring them on. We'll have fun things to do with that. And this auction is going to be a fun one. The theme is a county fair. And, you know, we had our county fair just recently, and getting back into that swing, we're going to have, carnival games and more. The auction will kick off on October 22nd. So you've got time, but don't let that slip by, because the people who are organizing the auction always get anxious sometime in about a month from now, and they don't have a whole lot of submissions. They're going to go, they're going to start to worry. So take it off their shoulders. Also, I have just to let you know that the church for years hosted a safe sleep program in our parking lot. So people without a home had a safe place to sleep in their vehicles overnight. That essentially dried up during the pandemic, and it's back. We have reopened in a slightly different form. We reopened this past week with a new program for people who are living in RVs. And as of Thursday, we now have a family of 2 adults and 2 children staying in their RV overnights in our parking lot. And I think the capacity is up to 5, and then we'll see how that goes. So safe sleep is back, and some of the good work of this congregation is happening again. So let us arrive fully together from wherever you are joining this service. May we arrive with hearts open and a willingness to learn and grow as we enter sacred space.
I'm Worship Associate Jerry Mendelson. In the style of the recently passed beloved broadcaster and humanitarian Vin Scully, we wish you a very pleasant Sunday wherever you may be. We invite those who are Zooming or streaming into this service to light a chalice or candle at home as Reverend Dana lights the chalice of our free faith here in the sanctuary. We begin our service this morning with these words from Danielle Koch, an Instagram influencer who calls herself an artist, educator, activist, and entrepreneur.
You were created to do good work. Work that empowers and inspires, liberates and transforms, restores and softens. Yes, work can be hard, as it was meant to be. The verb itself calls us into action, rejecting passivity and demanding sustained effort. It provokes and agitates and disturbs. But this work, this call for justice, is good work. It defends the oppressed and frees the captive. It tears down walls and destroys barriers. It changes things. So when you're feeling weary or hopeless or spent, remind yourself that the darkness is being flooded by marvelous light. Yes, this is work, and it is good. The good news is that the darkness has already been flooded by that marvelous light, right? And God is illuminating the path before us already. But it is our responsibility to take those steps and walk in that light. We hold in each hand two of the holiest tasks: the Great Commission to make disciples, and the greatest commandment to love. May we resolve to do both for the glory of God and the good of our neighbor.
Come, let us worship together.
Good morning and welcome here in the sanctuary and online. My name is Carolyn Bierke and I'm the music director, and I'd like to invite you all to join me in singing Just As Long As I Have Breath. Please rise and bow to your spirit. Let's just wait 1 second, see if the words come up, because you might not all know them by memory. Or I'll call them out. Yep. Hymnals? What are those? I know, I'm joking. I know. Back in the day, we used to use hymnals. Alrighty. Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I made my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment,
pushed me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Way back in the before times, BC, before COVID, we shared a time for the child in each of us. Someone told a story to the children assembled on the rug in front of the chancel. At their best, the stories always spoke to everyone, children, youth, adults.
Last Sunday, we held up our loving, stumbling community, and
Okay.
we're waiting. Am I?
Now you're
No?
Start again.
Yes?
Yeah.
Last Sunday. Last Sunday, we held up our loving, stumbling community. This morning, Reverend Dana and I want to tell you a story of a stumble we made during the service. That whole week was a doozy. Monday, we learned that our amazing director of religious education, Fidelity Balmer, had resigned, and that we had so much work to do as a congregation.
Friday, we were stunned by the sudden death of the amazing Carmen Ramirez, who was struck and killed in a crosswalk in a tragic accident. During joys and sorrows, we shared the outpouring of sorrow that so many in the congregation felt at her passing, condensing the 6 sorrows that had been shared into one. We held a time of silence to honor Carmen and to give us all time to feel the depth of her loss.
Yet this was clearly not enough. We honored Carmen, yet we did not fully acknowledge the personal grief that many in our congregation felt, nor fully voiced the way she inspired so many. In so doing, we hurt and disappointed some of you. So we take a second chance to do it better.
We sometimes condense or combine joys and sorrows for a number of different reasons. Last Sunday, the combining of several sorrows lost too much of the emotion and grief. So here is our second go at it, not so very condensed.
Last week, we lost a shining light of our community and a dear friend to many in this church. 6 people shared written sorrows.
Shelley Sussman wrote, Carmen was at once a fierce yet peaceful advocate for the environment and for the often powerless people she represented. Her insights, intellect, and grace will be deeply missed.
For Lisa Burton, Carmen was a good personal friend and one of the most inspirational and dedicated leaders I have ever known. As a county supervisor, she loved the people and the community that she served. I am shocked and devastated, wrote Lisa, with this news of her passing. Rest in power, dear Carmen.
The Merrill family shared, quote, we are all the poorer for losing this forthright champion of environmental sustainability and basic human rights. We honor her legacy.
George Nagels remembers Carmen as, quote, a champion for outdoor environmental education who helped me get funding for field trips and teacher training regarding Ormond Beach and Oxnard's advanced water treatment facility. Her death is a great loss for the County Board of Supervisors and our whole county.
Ray Vargas honored the first Latina in county history to serve as the chair of the county board of supervisors. She began her career in 1978 as a legal aid attorney in Oxnard. She was then elected to the Oxnard City Council in 2010 and then the county supervisors in 2020. Quote, "Throughout her career, Carmen was a steadfast voice for social justice and well-being for all Ventura County residents."
And Ruth Capel lamented the loss of her long-term personal friend in an accident that happened only blocks from Ruth's home. She wrote, quote, "Carmen was profoundly committed to our Oxnard community and the well-being of the entire county. Her vision was inspired to many of us. Her ongoing efforts to safeguard our environment reached far beyond party politics. Her embrace of our Latino community was heartfelt and deep. I will always be grateful for her guidance and cherish the memory of our friendship."
Celia and I are grateful to those who thoughtfully let us know the hurt they felt at our omission of their personal sorrow. Our full intention was to honor this remarkable woman in a special way. And we remember, too, that the impact of our actions is at least, if not more important, than the intentions with which we acted.
We are both so sorry that we hurt you so deeply. It is only by sharing our deepest feelings that we can go forward as a community, respecting the dignity of every human being and holding up all of our principles. Thank you.
Each Sunday, this congregation gives away our collection to an organization in the larger community or to funds that help people in our own church. Those of you at home have two ways to give: through the link that will be posted on the Zoom chat or by texting from your phone at 844-901-1779, which will soon be up on our screens. Folks present here can text to give, or you can still write a check or give cash and then drop it in the baskets at the back of the sanctuary right over here after the service. Our offering today goes to our own InReach Outreach Fund. As I've told you before, I call this our Say Yes Fund because it allows me on your behalf to say yes over and over again. This is both for our members and friends and for people who ask for help, because the folks in this community, the folks in our larger community, know of this congregation's generosity. In the last few months, I have been able to say, yes, we can help you pay your rent this month. And another, yes, we can help pay your rent this month too. You're moving into a new apartment? Yes, we can help you buy the refrigerator you need to be able to move in. You are refugees from Afghanistan and settling into an apartment in a new country? Why, yes, we'd love to help. Here's a gift card for you to go and do some American-style shopping. Sometimes this kind of work, helping people, individuals directly, sometimes it is called mercy work because it helps with immediate needs of people. Another side of our work is also sometimes called justice work. This helps us, this is how we try to address the underlying issues that create so much need. We need both. Yet the mercy work does something more than plug a hole in a time of flood. it also reminds people that human kindness exists. Yes, there are people who care. Yes, in a sometimes harsh world, there is also goodness. Thank you for giving generously, as you always do.
This is a song about love. Please feel free to sing along if you are so moved. The question is why? Why are we here? To say our hellos and goodbyes and then disappear. This beautiful life, what is it for? To learn how to master peace or master war. There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart has been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. We all make mistakes. No, we're not perfect yet. Maybe God made us all from an accident. And the question it sits on everyone's lips is why we should pick ourselves up and start over again. There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart has been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love. The question I'll ask at the end of my days is, what did I give and what will I take? There's only one answer that matters, even if your heart and your dreams have been shattered. Whatever you want, whatever you are after, love is still the answer. Love is still the answer. Love, 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 love. Love, 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 love.
There is so much generosity of spirit in this congregation. And by giving what you can, you help us collectively to do our work of justice, mercy, and human kindness, all of which we weave into a tapestry of love we call community. Thank you.
Part of life is its joys and sorrows, and it gives us great strength to share these experiences within our UU community so that we can support one another. We place stones in water for both the ups and downs in our hearts, with the ripples that result touching us all. You can submit a joy or sorrow for sharing via a link on the website, uuventura.org, or a link in our Thursday email bulletin, UUCV This Week. I invite you now to speak into the gathered community or write into the Zoom chat the names of those you wish to celebrate or memorialize, or those in need of the loving embrace of our beloved community. Please feel free to continue to add to the chat even after the silent pause has ended. Reverend Dana will now place one final stone in the water for all the joys and sorrows yet unspoken in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. May we be truly grateful for all that is our life.
Please remain seated as we sing Woyaya. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah, oh yeah, yeah. We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know within, and we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. Oh yeah, yeah, 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 yeah.
Get there. We offer the words of poet Marge Pursery, to be of use. I want to be with people who submerge in the task, who go into the field to harvest and work in a row and pass the bags along, who stand in the line and haul in their places, who are not parlor generals and field deserters, but move in a common rhythm when the food must come in or the fire be put out. The work of the world is common as mud. Botched, it smears the hands, crumbles to dust. But the thing worth doing, well done, has a shape that satisfies, clean and evident. Greek amphoras for wine or oil, Hopi vases that held corn, are put in museums. But you know, they were made to be used. The pitcher cries out for water to carry and a person for work that is real.
I invite you now into a time of stillness. Sit quietly and notice your breath. Let it fall into a natural rhythm. Many will often close their eyes during this meditative moment in the service, though today we offer a meditative video to take in. So you might want to watch. How are you being shaped? What vessel are you shaping? What does your pottery carry? A silent meditation.
Friends all gathered round, there's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all this day. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside. where strangers are his family and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise just to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. Yet like sunshine on a cloudy day, you're the light in the circle now. So give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. Love comes when you're ready. Love comes when you're afraid. It'll be your greatest teacher and the best friend you have made. So give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Oh, give yourself to love. If love is what you're after, open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Thank you. That particular Kate Wolf song is one of my favorites. The poet tells us the pitcher cries out for water to carry and a person for work that is real. The young Instagram influencer tells us you were created to do good work. Work that empowers and inspires, liberates and transforms, restores and softens. We here in this congregation, we are so well placed to take up the real work, the good work we come together to do, the work of justice, liberation, and love. I often stand in this pulpit and preach about how great Unitarian Universalism is. And why not? I've devoted more than 20 years of my life to this tradition, and many of you have been here and part of this faith tradition for decades more than that. And I truly believe that we can heal, we can even transform the world, even as I know that is a pretty darn grandiose statement. People who first come to one of our churches are often amazed that such an open, evolving faith exists. Sometimes they say something like, "Where have you been all my life?" And yet some also spend the first weeks and months waiting waiting for the other shoe to drop. Often because they've been hurt by another religion and they're still on alert. We can't be that good. This can't be as good as it seems. And we're not entirely. We are and we're not. One person said they hesitated to join the church because they wanted to know our shadow side. Of course, we have shadow sides. Though it's true, we don't often usually hear about them from this pulpit. That would really pack them in, wouldn't it? And yet, if we don't own our shadows, examine them and learn from them, we will lose much of the transformative and healing power that I know lies in this faith. We need to be a people who are able to admit mistakes and learn. A people truly trying to live up to and into our highest ideals, though we don't always make it. A people who won't declare that we have the only path to salvation. A people who keep trying to liberate ourselves and others. This is the real work, the good work we are called to. We are far from perfect and we don't have all the answers. We try, succeed, fail, try again, rinse and repeat. Heaven knows how we will get there. We probably will, and at the very least, we will keep trying. My hope for you, individually and collectively, is always that you live into the fullness of your humanity. A fullness that is decidedly not perfect. It can't be perfect and full because perfection would leave out the glory, may not leave out the, no, it would. It would leave out both the glories and delights and the complications and the deep messes we can get ourselves into, because some of us sometimes dance wildly on a party bus. Yeah! We bring it all to the altar, not to be judged, but to make progress, taking 2 or even sometimes 3 steps forward before the inevitable slip up and step back. Way back in May 2020, when the realization was dawning that the pandemic would last a while, I mused that when I was a child, I sometimes wished that I could be living in historic times that future historians would write about. And I joshed with our kids that their grandchildren would one day ask, "So how did you survive the great pandemic of the 2020s?" Even that seems like more innocent days, doesn't it? And yet, our world was already in the midst of seismic shift, BC, in the days BC, though COVID may well have been the final straw that broke any denial that we were still trying to cling to. It has granted us a deeper perspective on the assumptions that our society is built upon, like white supremacy, culture, and patriarchy. Do those terms make you at all uncomfortable? They still do me, though less and less as I have come to take them less personally. It's interesting, I didn't make that connection quite till I was writing this the last week. And they make us uncomfortable because those are the shadow sides of American culture. And they are here within and among us. For all that we have done individually and collectively to be more aware and to change and grow. Of course they are here. Really, how could they not be? We are good and striving to be better, yet none are that good. So what do we do now? Stay with the discomfort? Do our you thing? Learn, grow, transform? I hope so. I hope all of it. And I invite you to remember something that I talked about, particularly after first hearing Brian Stevenson speak, that this great civil rights activist tells us that doing the work of justice requires a willingness to be uncomfortable. If we attempt to work for justice only within our comfort zone, then it isn't work that is real. This community has recently been gifted with a realization that patriarchy still affects how we relate to one another. That has created for us some of our own seismic shifts, moved us individually and collectively into a discomfort zone. And if so, oh heavens, let us not waste it. For our discomfort is a guide, will guide us into work that is real. This is the justice work that we can do. Back in 2016, when this congregation was searching for a new minister and I was searching for a new church, I was actually not entirely sure I wanted to be a settled parish minister again. A cancer diagnosis 2 years before had raised some existential questions along those lines for me. And just quickly, a quick aside, the short version of my cancer story is caught early, surgery, chemo, done. And this past Friday, just 2 days ago, was the 8th anniversary of my final chemo treatment. And I'm still going strong, woohoo, yes. Though, as I was existentially trying on other possibilities, this church, you, just kept calling. Among the things I loved about you on paper and now in reality is the number of men's groups here. You wonderful men who love and support each other, who talk together about what it is to be a man in this culture, who nurture a wider human expression for yourselves and each other, and hold one another accountable when you need to be so held. You have told me that you are learning together how to be a different kind of man in a patriarchal culture. A culture that damages your own hearts, keeps you from expressing the fullness of your humanity. Because For men are victims of patriarchy too, of being told that this is how it is, this is what it means to be a man, and if you deviate, men are victims of patriarchy too. We all are, which is why it's still here among us. And I am so grateful for all the work you have already done. You are doing the work of smashing the patriarchy in your hearts already. This is the work that is real. And thank you for the courage and the tenderness that it has taken to get you there. The work of dismantling patriarchy will take all of us. Because it's in the air we breathe, the water we swim in, it's not just about men, though I know it can feel that way to men. And I have conversations about this with my brother, my big brother, Doug. I've got two of them, but I tell you more about Doug for all kinds of reasons. And we were in a conversation, and I once said something about something that I really love about men. And Doug said, "See, patriarchy isn't all bad." And I responded, "No, men aren't all bad. Indeed, men are wonderful. Yet patriarchy is always bad. It is a system of oppression. And people of all genders will be more capable of human flourishing if we smash it. We're all more wonderful when we are less and less trapped in oppressive systems." Smashing the patriarchy is not about bashing men, though I know it can feel that way. It is rather what Marge Piercy calls work that is real. And yes, as Danielle Koch tells us, work can be hard, as it was meant to be. The verb itself calls us to action, rejecting passivity and demanding sustained effort. It provokes, agitates, disturbs. But this work, the call for justice, is good work. It defends the oppressed and frees the captive. It tears down walls and destroys barriers. It changes things. It changes things for us all. Ultimately, it can liberate us all. For liberation is collective. And for all the work that we have already done, all of us working toward justice and equity and fairness in human relations, in our hearts and in our communities. Yes, 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 there is still work we need to do. Some have expressed surprise and even shock that someone has experienced gender-based harm in this congregation. How could this happen here? Aren't we the good ones? The ones who get the issues and are trying to live differently? Yes, 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 and. We have not transcended our culture. I don't know how many, it is a great, great mind who is able somehow to transcend a culture. And so we haven't. So, and to the extent that we are unaware of issues at play, we can't transcend some of the worst of the toxic messages that our culture presents us. We can take heart that the work we have already been doing, especially in the first 2 decades of the 21st century, has put us in a great position to dig deeper, learn more, transform ourselves, this community, and ultimately our part of the world. And If that is to happen, this really can't be an issue with just two sides. If there are sides, there are probably more like 12, a dodecahedron, which practically makes a circle. Our real and good work is about widening the circle, making sure it draws in more and more people, and that no one stays forever at its center, that it's fluid and we move and learn and grow and make space and take space and make space some more. None of us are liberated until all of us are. Another task is addressing the insidiousness of patriarchy, which is in us all, without blame and shame. How do we turn it into the good and real work of dismantling it, but for the betterment, healing, and wholeness of us all? People who identify as male, particularly cisgender and straight men, have particular work to do, as do people who identify as women. And all of us can learn from the experience of trans and non-binary folks. I have also heard some men say something like this: "Oh man, the women just need to tell us what not to say and we won't say those things." Right? Right? And yes, women can, and sometimes we will. Though the work asks work asks more than unlearning patriarchal language. And there is no list anyway. Remember the dodecahedron? There are so many sides to this. Those who identify as male need to figure out how and when the power our system grants you can cause harm to others. To understand it deeply and let it grow you, grow your hearts. For when you do understand it, my guess is that most of the harm will drop away. I fully trust that you, none of us, want to hurt anyone. And the truth is that all of the work, all of this justice work, all of the work for liberation benefits all of us. It is not, as some voices in society would have it, a zero-sum game. Your gain is not my loss. Resist that paradigm at all costs. Your gain helps me heal. It widens my circle and makes me more whole too. And this work of liberation is intersectional and overlapping. We have now before us a particular invitation to start in one place, which will carry us to look more deeply at racism, unequal economic systems that damage the earth, and so on and on and on. We are in this together. The road is muddy and rough, and we will get there. Love in both our intention and our actions. Love is still the answer. So let us give ourselves to love and carry on the good and real work before us. Amen. Amen. And blessed be. Please join me in prayer. Holy beingness of many names and no name, Spirit of life and liberation that dwells within and among and beyond us this day and always. may we, as a community, as human beings, never settle for one side or two sides of any situation. Let us walk into the dodecahedron, the 12-sided, the 15-sided shape that grows into a circle that can hold us all. May we remember the words of Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shut me out, heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. May our circle widen and widen, and may we all find our true, real, whole place in it. And may all those who are ill find healing. May those who are in despair find hope. May those who are without shelter find home. And may all those suffering in conflict and war throughout the world and in our own land, may we know peace. Amen, and blessed be.
Please rise in body or spirit and join me in our closing hymn, If Every Woman in the World. If every woman in the world had her mind set... Oh, I didn't get that memo. I'm so sorry.
I know. Person, woman, man.
Person, woman, man. Okay.
And skipping the second verse.
Okay. If every person in the world had their mind set on freedom, if every woman in the world dreamed a sweet dream of peace, if every person of every nation, young and old, each generation, held their hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every person in the world had their mind set on freedom, if every brother stood with brother as a witness of peace, if every person of every nation, young and old, each generation, held their hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every leader in the world shared a vision of freedom, if every leader in the world shared a sweet dream of peace, if every leader of every nation worked for justice and liberation, holding hands out in the name of love, there would be no more war. If every nation in the world set a true course for freedom, if every nation raised its children in a culture of peace, if all the reach out in integration, fuse. Sorry, right there. If all the youth, if all the youth from every location reached out in friendship and appreciation, refusing to be enemies, there would be no more war.
There may have been a few memos missed there.
Carolyn's just remarkable in her way to just roll with the punches. Please join me in reading the words on the screen as we prepare to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. those we carry into our lives until we are together again.
Technology is grand, truly, and then it isn't. Yeah. Before the benediction, I invite those of people who are on Zoom into breakout rooms. You can turn on your screens and see who's there, and oh, I want to talk to so-and-so. It'd be great to see them again. And if you have cash or checks for the offering, please drop them in the basket right back there. And those here who in the sanctuary, I invite you to head right on outside, not necessarily take your conversation right outside, out back for coffee, conversation, some bagels. That will be lovely. I leave you with the words of psychiatrist and trauma recovery specialist Clarissa Pinkola Estes, written some 20 years ago and still relevant to us living through these future historic times. My friends, do not lose heart. I have heard from so many who are deeply and properly bewildered, concerned about the state of affairs in our world. The luster and hubris some have aspired to while endorsing acts so heinous against children, elders, everyday people, the poor, the unguarded, the helpless. It is all breathtaking. You are right in your assessments. Yet I urge you, ask you, gentle you, to please not spend your spirit by bewailing these difficult times. Especially, do not lose hope. The fact is, we were made for these times. For years, we have been learning, practicing, been in training for, and just waiting to meet on this exact plane of engagement. We were made for these times. So let us go forth in love, go forth in peace, go forth and do the good and real work of justice making in our hearts and everywhere. May it be so.